tonight, secret wartime footage of a Fraser Island commando training camp. Toyota pulls its sponsorship for the Gympie Muster. Queensland's tilt train back on track. And a pro-bikie political party is launched. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Historians have unearthed never-before-seen vision of a clandestine commando camp which operated on Fraser Island throughout the Second World War. It's the only remaining video evidence of the hidden facility which served as a training ground for Australia's secret Z Unit soldiers.
Hidden in a garden shed for more than 60 years, this is the vision we were never meant to see. They're the men the military forgot. Special Z Unit soldiers trained in a secret commando camp on Fraser Island throughout the Second World War.
They truly are heroes for what they've done, what they've been through.
Frank Doyle was the man that made them heroes. A former rat of Tobruk, he helped train more than 300 Aussie soldiers.
Our job was to get them A1 fit. These operatives, as we call them, were going behind enemy lines to do a job and get out.
The servicemen, some still boys, became trained killers, experts in hand combat and explosives.
And the poor old Mahino, we give it hell. And when we weren't doing our jobs on it, the Air Force had come and used for bombing practice as well.
Some went on to destroy enemy ships during a raid on Singapore Harbour in 1943.
They were always in a dangerous position, and the odds are always usually stacked heavily against them. But
the Fraser facility was so secret, family could be told nothing. Frank's war bride was living in Maryborough with his newborn son at the time. He had to send her away in case she learnt too much.
But I never asked him any questions when he came home. It was top secret. The boys' lives depended on it.
And because Z Force was so secret, at the end of the war, everything and anything to do with it was virtually destroyed.
Everything except this film, the only link to our lost past. Ben Terry, 7 News.
The man who slit his 2-year-old nephew's throat with a pocket knife has been sentenced to life in prison. The jury returned a guilty verdict against Alan Craig a short time ago at Bundaberg Supreme Court. The 26-year-old claimed voices in his head urged him to murder the toddler in the backseat of a car in March 2006. The organisers of the iconic Gympie Muster are confident the event will continue to thrive despite losing its major sponsor, Toyota. The international car company provided almost $200,000 a year in financial support. It's been forced to withdraw due to the economic crunch.
It musters crowds of more than 60,000 people. But the Gympie Music Muster is set to head into its 28th year without a major sponsor. Toyota recently cut its sponsorship ties with the festival due to the global economic downturn.
Probably, only 2 or 3 weeks ago, the fact they have made the decision to pull out of the muster completely, which was very disappointing for us this late in the year.
Every year for the past decade, it has provided around $200,000 in financial support, almost half of what it costs to run the festival.
They're sorry to lose it, and it's probably the position of their industry at this stage, and they've cut back on a lot of sponsorship.
The muster will now have to overhaul all merchandise branded with Toyota, which is selling online at a reduced price.
Once the new major sponsor comes on, hopefully we'll get all that rebranded and move forward with it.
Organisers are in talks with new major sponsors, but today a small victory, with camping and outdoor company BCF confirmed as a new supporter. In the meantime, ongoing sponsors will pick up the shortfall.
We have got nearly all of our existing sponsors have stayed on and somewhat have gave us extra money in their sponsorship.
Michael Scanlon, 7 News.
A group of residents has confronted a Bundaberg builder with complaints about their newly built homes. They claim their homes haven't been finished to standard, but the builder says he's still waiting on their outstanding bills to be paid.
David Capp says his dream home is anything but.
Absolutely, and it turned into a nightmare home.
Just weeks after moving in, David was told his septic tank doesn't comply with council regulations and he risks being evicted if it's not repaired. But he says the builder is refusing to fix it.
They're paid for a quality home. Why can't they have a quality home?
But David's not the only local who claims to have had problems with Coral Coast Homes. Damien Friend says he had to wait an extra year for his house to be built.
I will be selling my house if I can sell it. Yeah, it's just shattered my dreams like everyone else.
The company's John Biles says he's tried to mediate with both parties. He says the trouble started when Mr Cap terminated their contract and refused to pay the final bill.
I think in general terms, no one's perfect. In essence, we've worked to give these people a home and they can enjoy the benefits of the home.
A Building Services Authority representative attended today's meeting to investigate the complaint. He'll also contact both parties to try to resolve the matter. Laura Dimmick, 7 News.
Queensland's tilt train service between Brisbane and Cairns will resume on Monday after being cancelled a month ago because of safety concerns. The government has come under fire for its handling of the matter and is now being called on to publicly reveal its findings on the train's safety.
The tilt train was off the rails for a month. Queenslanders are still no closer to knowing why.
Still no explanation from the Transport Minister why they took the train off track, no explanation why they put it back on.
Services between Brisbane and Cairns will resume on Monday despite the union's safety concerns.
We've still got reservations about the structure and the strength of it around the cab where the drivers operate.
There are calls for the immediate release of a safety report on the train. The union says that should have been a priority before the service resumed. When pushed today, Premier Anna Bligh conceded that she herself hasn't seen the report, but she's assured passengers they won't be in any danger by travelling on the service.
No concerns about safety on the tilt train.
Tourism operators have been hit hard by the suspension of services.
It's about the confidence of the operators, and we are right in the middle of a time when those operators need every bit of help that they can get.
That you can have a train service that you're advertising overseas and allowing people to book on and then pulling them off that and putting people on very, very substandard alternative services.
The Premier has promised the tilt train report will be released once an investigation into a fatal northern collision last year is complete. Casey Scott, 7 News.
Volunteer surf lifesavers will have their last outing on Wide Bay beaches this Labor Day long weekend as 7 months of patrols wrap up. Lifeguards have praised swimmers after a drowning-free season. There were more than 4,000 preventative actions, but only 42 people needed rescuing. 250 beachgoers needed treatment for injuries ranging from minor stings and cuts to fractures and suspected spinal injuries. But residents are urged to continue to exercise safety, with beaches unpatrolled over the next 4 months. Former Bundaberg resident has issued a political challenge to the state government over its plans to make bikie gangs illegal. Sandy Warren has started up the Free Australia Party to prevent the laws from getting through.
It's at least 3 years until the next state election, but Sandy Warren has already hit the campaign trail.
And here we are in our country, giving up our freedom to a bunch of communist politicians.
Mr Warren is a member of the Free Australia Party, which sprang up in retaliation for the state government's plans to outlaw bikie groups.
We're determined to make sure that the Queensland border is not a legal loophole for outlaw criminal motorcycle gangs.
The Premier's drastic call was sparked by a spree of violent crimes linked back to warring outlaw bikie groups. Mr Warren isn't even a member of a biker club, but he says the laws aren't fair.
Far too heavy-hand approach. Once you declare war on your own citizens, you place the country in a very precarious position.
The party will run a candidate against every sitting member who supports the anti-bikie legislation. Mr Warren says the party is still compiling its other policies, but there'll be a focus on education, training and the environment. And he's confident he'll find support. There are already more than 1,000 members.
It's just a socialistic, communistic plot to hide the real problems of this nation, which is the banking problem, which is the finance, which is the mismanagement of our government.
Laura Dimmick, 7 News.
We'll take a break in a moment. A project to beautify Bundaberg's Ring Road and Sailing for Charity, a local man setting off for Darwin.